What's the most painful way to die? Shotgun blast? Speeding bus? Drowning? But for many, burning alive is the most unimaginable fate. In 1994, Chris survived an industrial accident that left him with burns over 69% of his body. Just living defied all odds. In Call Me Chris, Chris Akin shares his harrowing journey of survival, recovery, and the brutal honesty of facing life after the flames. It's raw, real, and a testament to human resilience. Get your copy of Call Me Chris today at chrisakin.net or on Amazon. Witness the power of determination.
Good stuff right there, man.
Yeah, it is. Classic stuff there. Joining us now, it is the main man himself from Tantric.
Hey man, I having some power issues. I'm plugging it in every outlet, of course, in true Hugo fashion.
Right.
I just thought I pissed you off, so I was like worried for a minute.
No, I'm actually at my buddy's car dealership, Gary Jackson, and he was nice enough to be fixing my car and let me do my podcast here.
Nice.
But the funny thing is, right when I logged in, there's a bunch of people in the lobby, and I just hear some guy go, "Fuck that! I can't even deal with it." I was like, wow, that guy is more pissed off than me, and he doesn't even have to replace his transmission.
You never know. But yeah, I'm just irritated with the way that this country's going. And so, I vent a little bit every now and then.
Yeah, that's good to do. You know what I'm saying? Rather us vent than
go to war.
Yeah, go to war. Yeah. So what's up, guys?
Good to have you, man. And dude, you're out there. You're out there kicking some ass musically, man. Tell us about the tour and what's getting ready to happen.
Well, today we just announced the Creed cruise again for the second year in a row. Most requested, and look, all of the staff here at Gary. Look, I'm gonna do a little plug. At Gary Jackson Motors, they're all like scrambling to find me a plug. Guys, if you're in Charlton, Massachusetts, and you want a nice car, come over here to Gary Jackson. All right, I've got power. I think I'm plugged into an old Buick.
Nice. Somebody rev the motor so that the phone stays on.
Right. They always say you need one good friend, and it's a mechanic and a guy who owns a dealership. And
that's
lock
right.
That down,
No doubt, man.
So what are we talking about?
Well, let's start with let's talk about the current tour that you're getting ready to go on, man, with Saving Abel.
Make America Rock Again tour.
Yeah.
You got to say it with a southern accent to have that effect. Talking about that, Make America Rock Again. Hell yeah. Well, yeah, man, I'm excited to do it. I mean, I get to tour with my friends. Scotty Austin, who is like literally talks like that all the time and is the epitome of like the Southern patriot, and truly is. And then this like band that I met 5 years ago, and being the matchmaker that I am, my bass player at the time ended up dating the singer and still is. Good for him. But Paralandra, which if you guys never heard of,
I know Cassandra. Yeah.
Cassandra's a badass, but her whole family is so cool, and we love it. And I love to, who doesn't want to hang out with their friends and make money?
Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah.
So Paralandra's on this tour with you guys?
Yeah, it's us, Paralandra, and Scotty Austin, which basically Scotty had a band also before he did the Saving Abel stuff. And actually one of my favorite songs of all time he wrote, I think it's called 1,000 Words. It's a great song, and the name of his old band's called Trash the Band. And yeah, but he's such a cool guy and great personalities, and I love it. Keep it in the family,
Right on, man. Well, dude, obviously, man, you've had, it's hard to believe, but you've been in the public lexicon for a quarter century at this point. It's certainly, I know, it's certainly changed a whole lot, man. Is it better? Is it more fun? Is it awful now because of the money? I mean, you tell me.
Well, I'll tell you one thing. It's better in the sense that the things that I appreciate don't cost money as much. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
Because as you get older, you learn that wealth comes from things that you already have, like your family and the friends and everything else is kind of like, like what you put over it, to emulate it. But so in that case, I'm very, very wealthy. On the other case, I bust my ass every day, man, because I have to, and because I still love it. You know what I'm saying? And I always promised I would just do it until it stopped being fun, and it just doesn't seem to stop.
Nice.
And let's be honest, though, Spotify and Apple and all that kind of stuff have destroyed the good ways of making money when it comes to being a band, and so it's made a lot more difficult.
Crazy. Well, you know what it is? It's a good and a bad, because here's the good part about it is that now here's before in my time, like you have to have a record deal, and the record deal was what would put you in this place and blah, blah, blah. And now there's kind of a platform where everybody can kind of like throw out their music and ultimately have access to the same tools, maybe not money wise, but that anybody else does. So it kind of sheds light from a musician standpoint, for all the guys that are just out there on the grind trying to make their way, doing what God gave them to do, and they're trying to figure out how that fits in society and how they're going to pay the bills. That's good. On the downfall of that is that, it's Spotify, and it's like they're like the Walmart of streaming, and therefore, even though it's a good thing and everybody gets their music, I think it's more about that people don't, when they listen to music on Spotify or on any other platform, I don't think any of them are thinking, well, I hope these guys are making a living, you know what I'm saying, from it, because the percentage of a percentage that needs to happen a billion times for you to make a paycheck as a platinum selling band is still difficult. I can't imagine what it is to be, just guys starting off. But luckily, in those years when I was starting off, I was just like too dumb to realize that the chances of me actually succeeding at this were impossible. But so stay dumb, America, in that aspect. But now, being the young age of, well, you want to mention that, you guys know,
25.
Right. But, to me, I just count my blessings, like I get to do what I love every day. And sometimes it'll buy me a Porsche. Sometimes it'll buy me a porch. Sometimes it'll just not buy me anything. Right. But I still have fun. And the most, I feel like that's my contribution, I don't have any kids. I'm not married. But I create music. And sometimes it relates with people in a way that I could never, ever imagine.
Sure. Well, here.
All right, wait, Chris.
Chris,
finally, I have somebody here I can ask my question to. And you led me into it perfectly. And I think that finally I'm going to get a guy that agrees with me. I want to know how the difference is now. You're not married. You have no kids. Is there a difference now between the hot-ass groupies? Is it still chicks hanging out of the bus and naked and you're partying all the time? Or what's it like?
No, there isn't. I'm sure there could be. But, I don't drink. I don't do really anything like that. I'll smoke a little weed every now and then. And our schedule is like, people think it's just like, oh, you party all night and then get to do it again. I'm like, no, if you party all night, you have to do it again. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And so that to me, has never been a thing. And I don't think I've ever been that type of lyricist where, I never wrote music to get some ass. I always wrote music because I was just like a little nerdy kid who liked to express himself and write poems through music, But you grow your hair out, you paint your nails black, and all of a sudden you're cool.
Yeah.
But the younger version of me, it was just that kid who just loved to write music. And I still do, because it's a powerful, powerful tool. I mean, or else politicians wouldn't use it to like pump up the crowds and, whatever, A movie without music, life without a soundtrack is quite dull.
Right.
Absolutely.
No, you're absolutely right, dude. I want to go back to the money for a minute, just because
Sure.
I work with. I mean, that's what I do. Is one of my jobs is I help guys like you get your royalties. And here's the problem with the royalty thing, where you gave it a pretty face. I'm gonna kick that face for you.
Well, I don't know what face is listening, and they're like, "Oh, okay, well, just take that.
That's why I'll say it.
Guess you won't need those beans."
Right. Well, the problem I continue to see as somebody that does this is that they don't teach you guys how to get your money.
No.
They just tell you, well, you just put it on Spotify and you put it on a distro and it'll get distroed and you'll get some check that
Right.
doesn't make any kind of sense.
They do these little Instagram reels that makes us like, you want to make it in music?
Yeah.
All you have to do is
Stop.
download this course. But the truth of the matter is, I think that's like even when labels sign bands, they like to sign them nice and young and excited to be there, because by the time they get privy as to like, holy shit, so I do all this, but you get all that, and I can't even count how many of you, what you got is there, because I don't have the manpower, and there's really no policing of it. You know what I'm saying? There's nobody overseeing the people who oversee it. So in that aspect, I've taken the attitude of like, I'll do my best, but let's not, I can't lose my mind over things that I can't control. And I just hope that like in time, I'm sure that shit, just like all other wrongs that have been done, they somehow rectify themselves. And, music is like, I always say, I love music, but it doesn't always love me back,
Right.
But, and yet you still keep on coming back. And you know what? The prize at the end of that rainbow of sorts might not be like a $1 billion house or like some contrived crib show or anything, but it is like when you see how here you are sitting in your basement writing this song, just like you would be doing anything, and then years later that song gets released, and then a decade or 2 decades later, like somebody tells you a story about how that song connected them to something else, which is way bigger than me and way bigger than them and way bigger. And it's like, you're like, holy shit, it's really impactful, it's the frame that we put life around. And for those like little stories, if I was to ever write a book, sometimes it'd be like, oh, that song Morning, oh, I love it. When I met my girlfriend, I was like, that song is about leaving a chick, right? You want me to play that at your wedding? Okay, all right. But it doesn't matter, because at the end of the day, I feel like, music is like, when you have an impactful and great moment in your life, and then there's a smell that's associated with it, and then there's a song that's associated with it, and there's a couch that, feels a certain way. And I think that's what it does to people. It's like a time machine, and it sometimes forces people to reflect. And that's a good thing. We do have these hearts that we should use more often than we do.
Well, see, I'll tell you what, we talk about, the music meaning something. And I listened to the song we just played coming in. I was a rock radio DJ for, 12 years on one of the biggest stations in Cleveland. And I remember when music was actually good.
Yeah.
You played music. And now I look at the rock scene. I don't see it. Chris does. But I think that rock radio and the rock scene is a lot bit different than when you guys had that song out. And it takes me back to good times in my life.
Well, it was a good time in rock, the late 90s and into the beginning of 2000s. I mean, there was incredible stuff that came out. I mean, I could even say that in the 80s, there was, great stuff that came out there. Granted, it was dated into that little box, but within that box, it was, there's really incredible stuff that came out of there.
Sure.
That being said, just like, baggy jeans turned into skinny jeans, trends change. And unfortunately, it's not that there isn't a lot of rockers out there. It's just that, like, people, if you're selling a product at your store, the store's goal is not, boy, that's a great product. It's like, if it's shit and it's making us millions of dollars, let's put that shit everywhere.
Right.
You know? And that's what happens. But you know what? It's up to us. You know, we're all individuals, and I don't hate on people that are super successful for having a song that was written by AI, and basically they go, well, you know, every now and then it's got really no meaning, because in their own sense, it's who they are, you know, live and let live. I'm just grateful for like the people like you guys that are still just like diehards, and like at the end of the day, you know, we don't hate anyone, but we'll always go support our boys, you know.
Sure.
And I'm appreciative of that. I can't imagine being like a Bieber or something like that. It's got to be a very, very lonely life where you can't always be yourself. And you guys will know this very soon about me. I'm always unapologetically myself.
Right.
You know, I might not yell "fuck that" every 4 years. You know, like I don't really express those type of opinions. But you know, I always just I'm a hopeless optimist.
Right.
Yeah.
Let me ask you this, Hugo, and this is just a personal view, which you could just tell me is full of shit, and that's fine.
Sure.
But I've always looked at your band very similarly, not in style, but in the direction that Alter Bridge was compared to your boys in Creed. In
sure.
that, you know, and you know, obviously with you, with Days of the New becoming, you know, you
Right.
come in and it becomes Tantric.
Right.
When you look at that as the guy that was in the middle of that,
Right.
do you wish that it hadn't been perceived that way, and that Tantric would have been perceived in its own envelope instead of the first line of every press release for 5 years was formerly Days of the New?
Everything's got a beginning, and they got to say something, right? And to me, I'm confident enough in my own ability and uniqueness and differences and expressions to, you know, I don't, that shit doesn't bother me. It doesn't even bother me if they say, oh, your band sucks, because all I really care about is what I think, what I feel about it. And I feel if I love it, then, and I love it genuinely, then other people will most likely find a commonality there, because I'm a weirdo, but I'm not super weird, you know, and I like bananas, and so do a lot of people, you know, so
sure.
I just try to do stuff that, like, if nobody ever listened to it, just me, would I be proud? And I have tons of music that I've never released that just wasn't in the right setting, that I love and nobody's ever heard. And I just did it for myself. I never did it with the intention of like, today we're going to write a hit. You know what we should do? Key songs, Stripper, you know, like Angel.
Right.
You know, and Thorn. All right, put them in. 1, 2, 3. Start on a G chord. But I've never been like that, man. I appreciate and I support anyone who is fortunate enough to have success. Of course, if they squander that and they act like dicks, or they act like, hey, remember that time I wrote a song and I cured the world? That type of attitude, then it just makes me not really open to liking them. You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
You're a dick. But we're all people. You know, you guys express yourselves on your podcast.
Absolutely.
I express myself mostly while I'm sitting by myself and like looking inward and writing things to someone or no one, just to write them down, but never with the intention of where those thoughts are going. Just
sure.
For that moment and capturing whatever that feeling is. And you have to write from an inspired place. And
now,
right.
do you ever go on stage like some of these other bands and like spot out your political views or talk about that kind of stuff while you're on stage?
I feel like that's very contrived to do. Some people, if that's your true self, God bless you, you know. But I remember me and Aaron Luce, we used to like kind of like joke around about how, like, you know, all you had to do to get like this hurrah is like, I love the troops or America, you know, and these are like cool things, but like you're just saying them for lip service. And
right.
Especially when you're touring with these bands every night, And they're like, I never said this to anyone, but I'm saying it to you tonight. And it's like literally word for word, and I'm just like, oh my God. And to me, I just go off the cuff, and often it burns me, but it's genuine, and I'd rather just stay that, even if sometimes it comes out wrong, or I know where it's coming from, and ultimately that's what matters to me.
Right on.
I know who I am.
Sure.
So I try not to make like cheap things, but I do a lot of tongue in cheek. I try not to take myself so seriously, because the content in my music is somewhat serious, I guess. It's not like I'm writing about tricycles and popping wheelies and stuff.
Right.
It's an observation of life from a human, but I counter that by just being a goofball every other time.
Right. Well, and what's interesting, Hugo, is, I'm going to reference one podcast, so it might just be one that you were just flying off the cuff, but right. I saw you on the Today's Boondoggle podcast with Bill Bailey. Yeah. And I mean, you were spouting a lot of stuff that you don't spout in your music. Do you purposely keep that out of your music?
I actually do talk about stuff like that in my music, but what I like to do is I like to write things. I write songs about a specific thing about me, right? Or experience. But if you just write them in this very specific way, then other people can't insert themselves in as their characters, So like, to me, I try to tell the same story, provoke that same emotion, like that same thing, but allowing it space so that people will be like, oh yeah, man, that happened to me, and this song helped me, or whatever, so that they can relate to it in different ways, because I write it subjectively, but it's not supposed to be heard subjectively. It's supposed to be heard objectively, right, through and perceived through different life experiences. So that being said, for those who want to get deeper into the onion of Tantric, there is play on words that I put in there purposely for those who catch it, or for those who don't. Like, on the first record, everybody thought that the cover was like a dead pig. And for years and years, they were like, oh, it's so brutal. And I was like, it's really just two female high heel shoes inverted on each other. And it's just, to me, it was just like a funny inner joke. And on Some of All Things, I literally say the phrase "some of all things" in every single song. Right. It's consecutive, just like these little fun things that I always liked when I was younger to like discover about, And if you just want to listen to Tantric or any music as you're cruising down the road, fine. If you want to get down and shed a tear and light a candle, there's some stuff there for you too. And that's basically it. I try not to preach,
Right. Well, and in today's world, that's probably the best way you can be, because if you preach, you lose half your audience, no matter what you're preaching about.
Well, I mean, sometimes I do get real passionate about certain things, as I did on that podcast, and found myself searching for words at times, because, I had just basically gotten off the phone and seen all this like really, really like visual and like impactful stuff, and I was like, okay, and now I got to go talk for an hour, after my good friend just said there's hundreds of dead bodies that people are just ignoring everywhere. Yeah, right. But like I said on that thing, I think it's important for people to be careful and make their own decisions and do their own research. Don't listen to what I say. Just go and look at it yourself. But if you think there's something that's great that's happening out there, or you think there's something that's unjust that's happening out there, all three of us have this incredible platform to just be like, hey, just so you know, look it up yourself, right, and then make your own opinion. And to me, like I said, I'd rather like the presidential candidate that I want to win lose, and it be the vote of America, than it be just what I want. I want it to just be, legit, man. I think everybody wants the same thing.
Just for the record, I talked to somebody today who lives in the North Carolina area of the country, and said that this administration isn't doing shit to help them.
Well,
and there's a lot of stuff going on down there that people don't know about,
like the lithium mines and all that stuff. And,
right.
And like and this goes into the conspiracy Joe Rogan type of stuff, and you got to tread water on that a little carefully. But there is a lot of coincidental things that happened, including that storm, and including the just the reaction time that we'd normally be on that shit, and all of a sudden they're like, you know what, fuck that Walmart. Just like, we wanted that spare bedroom anyways. So and to me it's just like, sometimes when you're a kid you don't listen to your parents, but you'll listen to your cool cousin or your cool uncle. And I guess us three would be like that to some people. We might not listen to Fox News or whatever news system, but now you're hearing three guys that kind of look like you and they kind of talk like you, and you're more susceptible to being like, you know what, maybe these guys got something,
right.
And that's all.
Or maybe I should just at least go and see if what they're saying is true.
Exactly. There's some shit that people say that is like, come on, it's crazy, right? But so many things that we thought were crazy, we found out later to be true. You know what I'm saying?
More and more.
Yeah. And if we're 40 years behind the knowledge that everybody else or the powers that be have, then, who knows what the hell's going on,
Yeah. Well, look, for the 24 of the last 25 years, we all thought Alex Jones was a lunatic. And now we don't. Now you just look at his record. It's like, that happened, that happened, that happened, that happened.
Exactly. They're all lunatics. And then all of a sudden these lunatics become like these savants. These guys are like, and that's what happens. You get ostracized first. And then long after you're dead or you're poor, nobody gives a shit about you, they finally give you the accolade that you deserved. The life of an artist.
No doubt, man.
Yes.
Well, dude, where's the best place we could tell people to keep up with you and with Tantric and, buy stuff? Don't just stream it. I'll say it. Don't just buy stuff.
For sure. Well, we are doing the special like t-shirt, sweatshirt that all the proceeds of that are going to help people there in the North Carolina, among others.
Great.
And we'll keep people informed. So yeah, know that. If you go to officialtantric.com, it's our website. And on that, there's like a bunch of stuff on it. The videos, the music, all that stuff. And there's links to every show. And you can get a VIP or you could just come up. We pride ourselves in being the most approachable and friendly band out there. And we love interacting. We love hearing how we could be better, what other people's opinions are and stuff. Because that's the benefit of us never being a Metallica, but being somewhere in the middle between a band guys playing in a coffee shop and a Metallica, where we can still walk out after the show and people will treat us like normal people, even though they respect what we do.
Right on.
That's
and
awesome.
for only $500, you can meet the guys of Tantric.
Right. But really, you got to think about those VIP packs. People out there as you're about to buy them right now.
Yeah.
As just like another way of supporting something that you love, because if you love something, you should water it. You should feed it so that it grows and it continues to survive, because it really is music is really pointless without the ears that listen to it and the people that support it. Just like your show, just like anything. We could be speaking the truth of all truths. Does not matter if people are not hearing it and going, hey, I want to hear some more of that. And let me just take my time and let me get a VIP pass. Even though I know that Hugo will come out and meet everybody anyways, let me just go that extra mile. So for all the people that do that, thank you for all that support, because that actually is stuff that we see, not stuff that goes to 15 different people, kind of like Red Cross, before it gets to the person that deserves it. Oops,
right on.
Did I say that? See, nice. There I go. It slipped.
No, we didn't hear it. No.
Yeah.
You just thought it.
Yeah.
Well, dude,
My
one more
voice
time.
is so loud.
Yeah, there it is. Well, dude, one more time. You Tantric is out there on tour. Go to officialtantric.com for the information. And Hugo, thanks so much for joining us here on the Seth Williams Show.
Thank you for having me, man. Thank you, and thanks Gary Jackson for letting me use his office.
And go buy a car from there.
Go get your car.
I'm gonna have to, bro. All right, guys.
All right, brother. Take care, man. All right, peace.
Yeah.
It's the album that changed everything, Metallica's Black Album. In Cause and Effect, Metallica, author Chris Akin takes you back to the lead-up, the release, and the shockwaves that followed. Relive the moment that divided fans, reshaped heavy metal, and turned commercial radio on its ear. With insider stories and personal memories from rock critic and radio personality Chris Akin, this book is a backstage pass to one of rock's most iconic moments. Get your copy now at chrisakin.net or on Amazon. Don't miss out on this epic journey through heavy metal history.